Book 'em if you got 'em. We got company.
Checkpoint reached. sequence completed.